Have you ever noticed how lighter you feel after sharing something deeply personal, only to regret it days later when that information gets twisted against you? You're not alone in this painful pattern. In the monastery, I've observed countless souls who believed that openness always equals connection, yet found themselves wounded by their own transparency. Today we'll explore 8 sacred boundaries that Buddhism teaches us to protect, not from fear, but from wisdom. The first teaching concerns your future dreams and aspirations. When you announce your plans to everyone around you, something peculiar happens in your mind. The satisfaction you get from talking about your goals actually tricks your brain into believing you've already achieved them. This phenomenon, which neuroscientists now understand, was recognized by Buddhist masters centuries ago. They knew that premature sharing dissipates the concentrated energy needed for manifestation. Imagine your dream as a fragile seed. Would you dig it up daily to show others how it's growing, or would you tend to it quietly until it's strong enough to break through the earth? A monk I once knew spent 3 years in silence preparing for his pilgrimage. He told no one of his destination or purpose. When he finally departed, his resolve was unshakable because his energy hadn't been scattered through countless conversations and opinions. Keep your dreams in the sacred space of your heart until they're rooted enough to withstand the winds of others' doubt. But there's something even more precious that requires protection. Your personal struggles and vulnerabilities should never become casual conversation topics. In our culture of oversharing, we've confused emotional dumping with authentic connection. When you constantly broadcast your problems, you're not just seeking support, you're unconsciously training your mind to identify with suffering. Buddhism teaches us about the middle way, neither complete isolation nor total exposure. Your struggles are teachers, not stories for entertainment. Each time you share your pain indiscriminately, you dilute its transformative power. Picture troubled water in a glass. The more you stir it by retelling your story, the murkier it becomes. But when you allow it to settle in stillness, clarity naturally emerges. There was a woman who visited our temple daily, recounting the same relationship troubles to anyone who would listen. After months, I gently suggested she spend 1 week in silence about her situation, focusing only on inner observation. By week's end, she had found her answer, not through endless discussions, but through mindful presence with her own truth. Choose one trusted confidant for your deeper struggles, or better yet, develop the courage to sit with your pain until it reveals its wisdom. Yet even more dangerous than sharing your struggles is revealing. Your acts of kindness and charity must remain your secret. The Buddha taught that true generosity is like a bird that flies without leaving tracks in the sky. When you announce your good deeds, you transform sacred action into ego performance. The moment you tell others about your donation, your volunteer work, or your help to someone in need, you've already received your reward, social recognition. But the universe rewards secret kindness infinitely more than public virtue. Your ego craves applause, but your soul grows only in the silence of anonymous service. I remember watching a wealthy merchant in our village who would publicly announce every charity he gave, taking photographs and seeking praise. His generosity, though substantial, carried the bitter taste of pride. Contrast this with an elderly woman who quietly left food for hungry families under cover of darkness. Her gifts, though smaller, created ripples of pure love because they came from authentic compassion rather than ego need. Let your kindness be like morning dew, nourishing everything it touches while remaining invisible to most eyes. But perhaps even more crucial to guard is your family problems and intimate relationships should never become public discussion. Every relationship has its seasons, storms and sunshine, conflict and harmony. When you expose your family's private struggles or your partner's imperfections to outsiders, you're betraying the sacred trust that intimacy requires. These stories aren't yours alone to tell. They belong to everyone involved. More importantly, the energy you spend complaining about your loved ones could be redirected toward understanding and healing. Buddhism teaches us that relationships are mirrors, reflecting our own inner state. When you constantly talk about others' faults, You're actually revealing your own inability to accept life's imperfections. Your family dynamics, your partner's habits, your children's challenges, these are opportunities for practicing patience, compassion, and wisdom, not material for gossip or venting sessions. In Tibet, there's an old saying, "The snow leopard doesn't explain its spots to the mountain goat." Your most intimate relationships deserve the same protection. But there's something that cuts even deeper when shared carelessly. Your financial situation, whether abundance or scarcity, must remain private. Money carries tremendous emotional charge in our society, and revealing your financial reality invites judgment, envy, or manipulation. When you complain about being broke, you attract pity and reinforce lack consciousness. When you boast about wealth, you invite resentment and false friendships. The middle path teaches us that money is simply energy, neutral in its essence, but powerful in its impact. A successful businessman once told me how discussing his wealth had attracted dozens of friends who disappeared the moment he faced temporary difficulties. Conversely, I've known people who constantly spoke of their financial struggles, unknowingly programming their subconscious mind for continued scarcity. Your relationship with money is sacred and personal. Guard it like you would guard the combination to a vault containing your most precious treasures. Let your financial peace come from inner abundance, rather than external validation or sympathy. But even more personal than money is, your spiritual practices and mystical experiences require absolute discretion. The moment you begin to describe your meditation insights, your prayer experiences, or your spiritual breakthroughs to casual acquaintances, you're scattering the concentrated energy of divine connection. Spiritual experiences are like morning glory flowers. They bloom in darkness and close when exposed to harsh light. I've witnessed many seekers who rushed to share their spiritual highs, only to find that the experiences stopped coming. This isn't punishment, it's natural law. Sacred experiences are given to transform you, not to impress others. When you preserve the sanctity of your inner journey, each experience builds upon the last, creating a stable foundation for authentic awakening. There was a young monk who received a profound vision during meditation. Instead of treasuring it quietly, he told everyone in the monastery. Within days, he was plagued by doubt, wondering if he had imagined it all. His teacher explained that sacred experiences require the same protection as delicate silk handled with reverence and stored away from rough exposure. Keep your spiritual treasures in the temple of your heart, where they can mature into permanent wisdom. Yet perhaps most dangerous of all to reveal is, your deepest insecurities and self-doubts should never be shared with the wrong people. While vulnerability can create connection, indiscriminate sharing of your insecurities becomes an invitation for manipulation. Predatory people can sense weakness and will use your honest admissions against you later. More importantly, constantly verbalizing your self-doubts reinforces neural pathways of insecurity in your brain. Buddhism teaches us to observe our insecurities with compassion while not identifying with them completely. Your doubts are temporary weather patterns in the sky of consciousness. They come and go, but they're not your true nature. When you repeatedly tell others, "I'm not good enough," or "I always mess up," you're not just sharing feelings. You're casting spells of limitation over your own life. Instead, develop the practice of witnessing your insecurities with loving awareness while keeping their details private. Share your struggles only with those who have earned the right to hold space for your vulnerability. But the final and most crucial secret to protect is your personal goals, and the specific steps you're taking to achieve them must remain confidential until completion. This isn't about being secretive for drama's sake, it's about understanding how the mind works. Every time you talk about what you plan to do, your brain releases small amounts of the satisfaction chemicals it would release upon actual completion. This false sense of accomplishment reduces your motivation to follow through. Ancient Buddhist texts speak of right speech, which includes knowing not just what to say, but when to remain silent. Your goals are sacred contracts between you and the universe. When you involve too many opinions and energies, you dilute your own clarity and determination. Let your actions speak louder than your announcements. A master craftsman doesn't describe every detail of the masterpiece he's creating. He works quietly until the moment of revelation. Your life is your masterpiece, and some aspects of its creation require the protection of sacred silence. These 8 boundaries aren't walls built from fear. They're gates of wisdom that protect your energy, preserve your power, and maintain your peace. In a world that profits from your oversharing, choosing conscious silence becomes a radical act of self-love. When you protect these sacred aspects of your life, you're not hiding from authenticity. You're cultivating the kind of inner strength that makes genuine connection possible. Remember, not every thought needs to be spoken, not every experience needs to be shared, and not every detail of your life needs witnesses. Your peace is precious. Guard it wisely. If this resonates with your journey, let me know in the comments below, and consider subscribing for more Buddhist wisdom that protects your inner sanctuary.